Catastrophe, Chapter 11. It was the only place where she could get any peace, and she lay on the bed with Snowy on her tummy, and she tried to remember a time when she wasn't miserable. Snowy was quiet. She didn't like being shouted at. Kate stroked Snowy's tummy, and she began to feel better. And with the wagging of Snowy's tail, she could tell that she did too. They lay there for hours, and Kate could see the street light sparkling in the snow. It looked so beautiful, she thought, and she fell asleep watching the fat snowflakes coming down. It was like God was having a massive pillow fight, she thought, and two massive pillows and that had burst and covered the world with their contents. When Kate awoke, she was surprised that it was morning. The curtains were still open and the lamp was burning bright. Snowy was purring at her feet, and she felt as comfortable as a hot water bottle. Eventually, she willed herself out of her too comfy duvet, and she made her way downstairs. Marie was washing up, and Jack was busy reading the morning papers as usual. It gave him something to moan about, thought Kate. Keep that Moggy away from me, he said, rustling the papers. She's not a Moggy, she's a lovely cat, thought Kate, but she kept her thoughts to herself as usual, as she didn't want to start the day off with a row. Jack was the manager in a famous retail store, which Kate couldn't bother to remember, but the way he acted you would think that he was the head of some multinational company, thought Kate. He was dressed in his black suit and pinstripe tie, as usual. Kate admitted that he looked smart, but she didn't like the way that he looked down on other people who did ordinary things, like a real dad who was a taxi driver. He acted like he was superior to them, but he wasn't half the man her dad was, thought Kate bitterly, as she buttered her toast and watched as Snowy ate her chunks of meat incredibly quickly. What's that horrible smell? Said Jack. It's cat meat, said Kate. It smells more like cat sick, said Jack, ruffling the newspaper angrily. I'm sick of you, thought Kate. She couldn't wait for him to drive off to work. Leave her alone, said Mary. She loves that cat. It's a nuisance, answered Jack. She needs to grow up and get a job. She's not a little girl anymore. I could have a place for her in my clothing section, he said. Even a Saturday job would do her good. Kate groaned inwardly. She always did when he seemed to be making sense. That's not a bad idea, love, said Mary, as she sat at the table with a steaming cup of coffee. Who would look after Snowy? Kate said tearfully. We could always sell her, said Jack cruelly. Oh, said Mum, that's not nice. I'm joking, he said, but Kate knew that he wasn't. That's settled then, he said. I'll arrange everything for you, he said before he finished his coffee, and then marched out of the house with military precision. Coming up, Chapter 12.